Hello guys, welcome back to Chris Flies Planes. Chris here, of course, and today we are back in Kerbal Space Program for episode 3 of our Let's Play. And we did some experimentation in the last episode and discovered some great tips for fuel efficiency. So with our weight save here, what I'm going to do is chuck out these solid rocket boosters here, chuck away these wingtips here, which may actually be overkill, and we are going to do a little bit of an adjustment here. We're going to go back to radial decouplers, but we are going to go for trilateral symmetry this time. We're going to get 3 of these guys, 3 of these solid rocket boosters. Make sure they are on properly here. Let's get the aerodynamic space cones on, and we are going to actually adjust the fins as well. We're going to put some of these basic fins on. I don't think there's anything really to be gained by putting on the other ones. Let's check our staging. So we've got the 3 SRBs, the 3 decouplers, the rocket, decoupler, parachute. I think we're looking pretty fantastic. Let's save this as the Snowden Mark V. Probably going to be the last iteration of the Snowden series here. Our rocket is too heavy. Okay, so we are going to really experiment here. Firstly, I'm going to get rid of the science bay. Let's see if that makes enough difference here. I do want to make sure we have a heat shield on. Oh, we do have a heat shield on. Fantastic. So let's do that, and that. We are currently slightly too heavy. I'm going to reduce the top stage by 1 fuel tank. I know, crazy, a lot of you guys will be thinking here. But let's see if this works. We've got a delta V of 3,000 meters per second, but it's still pretty fantastic. Let's launch. We are so close. Okay. Well, let's take our experiment to the absurd extremes here. We are going to put on a tiny fuel tank. And here we go. This is our rocket. It's still too heavy. This is remarkable. I don't really want to take those off. If I take these fins off, it's 18.01 tons. You've got to be shitting at me right now. There's nothing I can do really to reduce this anymore. Let's try. We're really going back to basics here, guys. We're going to try putting 3 of these guys on. Well, actually, let's try. No, let's put 3 of those guys on. Let's do that. We can put the aerodynamic nose cones back on, and we can probably put our fins back on. And again, this is a little bit of an experiment. I want to see if this is going to be enough to get into orbit. We've got a delta V of about 2,000 meters per second. I do want to maybe change this fuel tank back to a slightly larger one. It's going to give us a delta V of 2,337 meters per second. I think that's probably going to be enough, though. Let's see here. So let's check our staging. We've got the 3 SRBs, 3 decouplers, rocket, decoupler, parachute. That is fantastic. Parachute is set up fine. SAS is on. Let's throttle up and let's get going. So we have got a lot of thrust in the first stage here. We are going to start chucking her over into a gravity turn. There we go. That was the first stage. We have not got Kerbal Engineer on, which is annoying. So we are very much going to be relying on the map screen here. I do not think this is going to be enough to get us into orbit. We kind of knew it wasn't going to be enough to get us into orbit. But I think it's pretty great to experiment in these games and just see what you can achieve with a little bit of playing. Going really aggressive on the gravity turn here. Okay. Went a little bit high on the apoapsis there because I pressed the wrong button. Let's flatten her out towards the horizon here and let's see what we can do. Can't actually see the vehicle delta V right now, which is vaguely annoying. Okay, so let's slow down warp and let's go to full burn. And that was it. So let's get that ejected and let's just fast forward ourselves down to the planet very quickly. So that was an interesting experiment. Again, we certainly got up above the atmosphere, but we definitely were nowhere near getting into orbit, which is a bit of a shame. So what do we want to do on this next one? I guess however we look at it, we're going to need a little bit more delta V. And that's fine. I do like the idea of having those 3 flea SRBs in the first stage. I launched that parachute very early then. That was ill-advised, but we seem to have gotten away with it. Valentina is still happy. She did not know how close she was to disaster, which is great. Okay, 400 meters to go for splashdown, and we can jump out and see what we can do about finally building a rocket which is going to get us into orbit. That's 150 meters, 100 meters, 50 meters, and splashdown. Fantastic. Valentina returns once again. She is becoming a seasoned veteran of spaceflight now. Will she be the first woman to get into orbit? Or will she be the first woman to die trying? That is the question. Okay, so what do we want to do? I'm pretty happy with this. So let's just go like this. Go 1, 2, pop that guy on. That's going to give us a delta V of about 3,000 meters per second, which I have been led to believe is going to be enough. Let's just stick a Kerbal engineering circuit board on there. And let's see what this can do. So once again, we've got the 3 rockets, the 3 decouplers, the rocket decouple, parachute. We have Kerbal Engineer on board, which is fantastic news. Let's get the SAS on. I'm going to throttle up to 2/3, 66%, and let's launch. So you can see, even with this extra fuel, those solid rocket boosters are still more than doing their job here, getting us through the atmosphere. Let's pop them off. And I'm just going to keep it at 2/3. We're accelerating extremely slowly right now, but that is okay. I don't mind that. I'm sure that's probably going to be efficient. And we are going to start our gravity turn. Gravity turn is definitely a lot more extreme in this iteration. But again, I'm fine with that. I don't think I want to go much lower than 45 degrees, really, on the gravity turn. I don't know the math or intended gravity turn here. So let's try and hold it around 45 degrees. That feels about right to me, you know. As long as our apoapsis is going up. I'm going to go to full throttle here. Apoapsis is still going up. Our time to apoapsis is still going up, which I think is a good sign. See what's going to happen here. It's definitely a very different trajectory than we have been doing so far. A lot more of an extreme gravity turn. I don't know if it was too extreme. It may have been too extreme. Let's fast forward and let's see what we can do. Okay, so once again I'm going to go up to 2/3 I think here. I'm not going to bother being on a map screen here. I'm just going to stick in this screen and let's see what we can do. Okay, I don't feel like that was a particularly great attempt there. I'm going to be honest, I thought we'd done a lot better at getting into orbit on that one. But let's get ourselves back down to the planet as quick as we can. And let's maybe have a bit of a rethink of our strategy here once again. Okay, just keeping ourselves retrograde here. Let's take SAS off. Let's wait for our parachutes to go grey and let's get that out and ready. And we are looking pretty great here. Okay, we have splashdown. Let's get that recovered. And let's see what we can do here. Right. So let's pop back into the vehicle assembly building here. And I'm going to put in a second bit of fuel in this first stage here. I just want to get that thrust to weight ratio on the first stage down just a little bit more. This is actually the Snowden Mark 7. Let's launch that and let's see what we can do. Okay, so the staging is 3 SRBs, 3 decouplers, rocket decoupler, parachute. SAS is on, throttle up to 2/3, and let's go. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit less aggressive on the gravity turn this time round. We want to get our surface speed up to around 300 meters per second. Actually, I'm just going to keep it on full throttle. Let's just keep playing and seeing if we can get anywhere here. I want to keep roughly in the center of that prograde marker. But I don't want to be aggressive about pulling this craft over for the gravity turn. Okay, this leaves us with 1550 delta V to get ourselves into orbit here. I think it might be enough. From memory, I think maybe this will do the job. All we can do is wait and see though. So let's fast forward our way towards our apoapsis. Okay, about 35 seconds there. And let's pop back. Or no, let's stay in this view actually and let's get our burn going. We're going to burn basically parallel to the horizon here. We're going to go for quite a simple circularization burn. We're just going to see what we can do. I feel like we might get it done here. But I've said that on every single launch, so... we're going to be real close. We are really close. Super, super close there. What do we have to do, guys? What do we have to do? What is the solution here? Once again, let's take a crew report if we can. It's not even worth any science at this point. It's become so blasé for us to get into a suborbital flight that the game just doesn't even care anymore. We're no longer rewarded for it. The next stage is to get ourselves into orbit. What do we need to do? Okay, well that is our re-entry complete. Let's turn SAS off, let the craft orient itself, and we'll head down towards splashdown here. Once again coming in over the ocean as intended, or not intended, as hoped for, let's say. So our periapsis height, I believe there was around minus 130 kilometers, which is actually pretty close to being in orbit. It doesn't sound it, but it is. I want to try one more flight with this configuration of rocket. But this time throw it into a much more aggressive gravity turn, and let's see what the difference is in the periapsis there. Let's see if we can squeeze out a little bit more fuel efficiency from these rockets. And if not, again, we're going to have to change something up. We know the staging is fine. Let's have a very quick look regardless. It all looks fine. SAS is on, throttle is up, full. Let's go. So we're going to start on a gravity turn almost straight away here. Let's just make sure our rotation's a little bit off. We're going to throw into a much more aggressive gravity turn here. Instead of keeping it in the centre of that prograde marker, we're very much keeping it on the right-hand edge of it, pulling it down towards the horizon. And let's see if that will gain us slightly more advantage. See, our apoapsis height is going to go up a lot slower, but our periapsis height is going to go up a lot higher, a lot faster, sorry. Which hopefully will balance itself out here, and hopefully be more efficient because we're just not fighting the gravity as much, and converting a lot more of this fuel into sideways momentum rather than vertical momentum. And hopefully that will do what needs to be done here. Okay. Fast forward towards our towards our 30 seconds from apoapsis. You see our periapsis height is at 531. We've got 1307 meters per second of delta V. Is it going to be enough? I'm not 100% sure, honestly. We're going to find out soon enough, though. And let's go burn. Well, so technically, guys, we are in orbit. Technically, we are in orbit. Unfortunately, we're not in orbit enough. Let's pop back out the map screen here. Check for that. Orient ourselves this way. And let's just fast forward here, and you'll see, unfortunately, as we come into the atmosphere, our periapsis is going to drop down as the air resistance slows us up. which is annoying, but it did show one thing, that kind of more extreme gravity turn definitely helped. Which is great news. It's a great learning process here. Let's just get ourselves lined up here. And SAS off. And hopefully as we come down to the atmosphere here, resistance. You can see our periapsis dropping here as the air resistance starts to slow us down. And there we go. See our splashdown point starting to arrive here. It's going to be about in the middle of this ocean, which is fantastic. See, by taking SAS off, our craft is orienting itself nicely to put the heat shields into re-entry. Look at that. That is the view. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to give it one more attempt to this current configuration of spacecraft. I screwed up the apoapsis burn just ever so slightly, and that might have been enough of a screw up to stop us getting into orbit. So we are going to give it one more attempt with this craft and see what we can do here. Parachute deployed. Parachute fully deployed, and 300 meters till splashdown. There we go. Valentina once again returns home, which is great news. And let's give this one more go here. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to not start the gravity turn whilst on the SRBs because they burn out so quick. But as soon as we get onto the liquid fuel, I'm going to start the gravity turn. And we're going to try and not screw up the apoapsis burn, which is more important here. So let's get to the launch pad. Let's do our flight checks. We've got the 3 SRBs for 3 decouplers, rocket, decoupler, parachute. SAS is on, throttle is up, and let's go here. Just going to try and hold it steady as we burn through these solid rocket boosters. It's throwing itself into its own gravity turn. Okay, now we are going to start gravity turning. We're going to keep right on the edge of that prograde marker. I don't want to be going too far away from that marker because it means we are fighting the direction of the spacecraft, but I do want to ensure quite an aggressive gravity turn here, as that seemed to have worked quite well for us on the last attempts. We're going to actually throttle down at 300 meters per second and just continue our gravity turn here. And give ourselves every possible chance to win this time. Slow the burn right down on this engine. It's only moving a tiny little spacecraft. Going to start following into about the middle of that prograde marker now. Just trying to get that apoapsis up high enough here. Okay, that was certainly a very, very interesting trajectory there. Very, very different from anything we've approached so far. You can see our our burn is our orbit. Sorry, is already very, very shallow compared to normal. So hopefully this will mean when we get to our apoapsis burn here, it's going to take very little delta V to get into orbit, which is good because we have very little delta V to get into orbit. So that is what we need. Okay, let's full throttle there. Stop that apoapsis from getting away from us. We were super close there, guys. We were super close. 48 kilometers on the periapsis, 95 kilometers on the apoapsis. It wasn't the most efficient burn ever to circularize, but I think that would have done it, honestly. A little bit of tweaking there. One thing I am hoping is that we're going to have enough effect as we come through the atmosphere to slow us down. I'm actually going to face this way when I decouple, just so you get a little bit of extra push. I'm really hoping, yeah, we're going to be able to get out of orbit here by braking in the atmosphere. But you can certainly see the difference that getting an efficient start to your orbit makes here. We haven't changed anything on the craft, and basically that time we were pretty much there. Let's just hope we can actually get Valentina home from here. That's the real question. We do not have any fuel remaining. Let's just pop out here. Actually, we can see the apoapsis height here. We can see the apoapsis, periapsis height, sorry, is dropping pretty rapidly. So I do feel that we are going to get her into orbit. Vertical speed is still minus, which is great. It means we are still heading down towards the planet. Yeah, I think we're going to be absolutely fine here. It's definitely a little bit worrying for a second. Let's get ourselves oriented. Well, let's let the craft orient itself, sorry. Periapsis height has now dropped below 0, so we are going home. Valentina looks extremely happy about this, as I would be as well. You don't want to be stuck in space. We are going to be coming in pretty hot to the atmosphere here, though. You see the ablator's doing absolutely fine there. Still 180 out of 200. If that hits 0, that's when we start to get into trouble. It looks like this is going to be one of the rare times, though. We're actually going to be coming down over land, right in this middle of this landmass here. It's going to be a horrible recovery for Chris Fly's Space Program. But there we go. Let's pop our main parachute here. And I'm actually going to just go into the settings on this and make sure this is going to go at 2,500, just because I don't know how high these mountains are, or these foothills we're going to be coming down in. I do want to make sure we are going to be absolutely fine here. Well guys, that is going to be another episode of Kerbal Space Program. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, we are just experimenting at the moment, trying to squeeze out every ounce of Delta V from these fuel tanks. Hopefully in our next episode we will get past this and get into orbit finally, and start working towards some other things in the Chris Fly's Space Program. Thank you very much for watching guys, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.